Let us start with the lesson 1, that is ICH and CTD. The content which is gathered from the different source, from the internet and the easily available sources, and it is acknowledged. Then we will talk about the ICH CTD, and the main topics are divided into ICH overview, CTD overview and the eCTD overview. What is ICH? As everybody knows about the full form, that is International Council on Harmonization, and it is formed by the tripartite organization, that is US, Europe and Japan. What is ICH? I will tell you the full form, that is International Council on Harmonization of Technical Requirements for Registration of Pharmaceuticals for Human Use. What is it used for? It is an agreement between the European Union, Japan and the United States. It's a joint initiative between government regulators and the industry manufacturers. Why it was formed? To harmonize regulatory requirements for the testing, application and approval process of the pharmaceutical medications. There is a history for the ICH, and there was a need for harmonization, those we will discuss. Because of the rapid increase in laws, regulations and guidelines for testing safety, quality and efficacy of the new products, different technical requirements by regulatory agencies, all the fundamental guidelines principles are the same. And industry becoming global, and there was a need for the harmonization. That is why these three tripartite bodies came together and formed this ICH organization. And it helped us to save the time because of the duplication of time consuming and expensive testing. Then how it was progressed? The goal was to decrease country to country differences in guidelines, then decrease differences between regulatory authorities. The target was streamline drug development and the regulatory processes, increase efficiency and enforcement of GMP, GLP and GCP guidelines. What is GMP? Is a good manufacturing practice, GCP is a good clinical practice and GLP is a good laboratory practice. And if you talk about GDP, we have to club together, that is good documentation practice, and together with it is called GXP. So main three founder members of ICH are European Union, Japan and USA. So ICH organization mainly divided into four broad categories, that is quality, safety, efficacy and multidisciplinary, out of which we are using in day-to-day life quality guidances when we are talking about the manufacturing and the CMC information collection. When the drug development takes place, we have to use the safety and efficacy guidelines. There is the fourth category, that is multidisciplinary, which is very important when we talk about CTD and eCTD. So how these quality guidances are divided? There are 12 guidelines published till date, that is ICH Q1 to Q12. So Q1 talks about the stability studies, Q2 talks about the analytical method development and the validation, Q3 is used for the impurities, then Q4 used for the pharmacopoeias, then Q5 it is quality of biotechnological products, Q6 used for the specification, Q7 it talks about the good manufacturing practice of the API, Q8 is the pharmaceutical development report, then Q9 quality risk management, Q10 pharma quality system, Q11 is the development and manufacture of drug substance, and Q12 recently published that talks about product life cycle management. Always you have to read Q9 and Q10 together because of the quality risk management in pharmaceutical industry. Then there are safety guidelines, those are also divided from S1A till S10. So you can read through the slides, which I have already specified how it is divided. Then there are efficacy guidelines, those are also divided from E1 to E16, out of which E6 is very important when we talk about the good clinical practice, that is GCP. Then multidisciplinary, that is also very important, out of which M4 talks about the ICH CTD and M8 talks about the ICH eCTD. There is one more important guidance, that is M7, which talks about the genotoxic impurities. So let us talk about CTD now. CTD, there is a joint initiative involved both regulators and the research-based industry representative of the Europe, Japan and USA in scientific and technical discussions of the testing procedures required to assess and ensure the safety, quality, efficacy of the medicine. The objective is to increase international harmonization of technical requirements to ensure that safe, effective and high quality medicines are developed and registered in most efficient and cost effective manner. Activities have been undertaken to promote public health, prevent unnecessary duplication. So the CTD was agreed upon in November 2000 in San Diego, USA. The purpose of this CTD is to provide a harmonized structure and format for new product application, that is called marketing authorization. The use of CTD format is mandatory as from 1st July 2003 in European Union. The ICH Steering Committee adopted a new codification system for ICH guidelines. The purpose of this new codification is to ensure that the numbering system of ICH guidelines is more logical, consistent and clearer. So the focus of this CTD is to provide a common format for the preparation of a well-structured submission according to the modular framework described in the ICH guidelines of the Common Technical Document for Registration for Human Use, that is ICH topic M4. The CTD guidance indicates where and how available information is to be presented. The CTD is not intended to indicate what studies are actually required, that is authorities can ask for specific types of data. So mainly CTD comprises of technical and the scientific data. So what is it? A common harmonized format for the application for preparing marketing authorization in the 3 ICH regions, that is Europe, US and Japan. But nowadays many countries follow this ICH format. It is a template for preparing data in the dossier form. It is not a statement of data requirements for the application. So how CTD is divided? CTD, if you ask the CTD structure, it is always divided into 5 modules. Module 1 talks about the regional information, which involves the administrative data and the prescribing information. Module 2 talks about the quality overall summary of Module 3, Module 4 and Module 5. Module 3 is a quality which is CMC, that is chemistry, manufacturing and control. Module 4 talks about the non-clinical data. Module 5 talks about the clinical data. So you can see the triangle which is again divided into Module 1, Module 2, Module 3, Module 4 and Module 5, out of which Module 1 is not part of CTD. Why it is called, it is not part of CTD? Because of the regional differences. Whenever we want to compile the dossier into CTD format and submit to the specific country, we have to meet the country specific requirement, and that is why the Module 1 is always the regional specific. If I want to send this CTD dossier into Europe, then I have to meet the European regional requirement. If I want to send this CTD dossier to Russia, then I have to meet the Russian requirement. So there are regional differences like local language, fees and the PIL, that is patient information leaflet, and the labels, and that is why CTD Module 1 is not part of the CTD. So this is Module 1 structure, which is a table of content of the submission including Module 1 and document specific to each region. For example, application form, prescribing information, we have to attach the cover letter as well. Then Module 2 talks about the quality overall summary, and it has mainly 7 sections, that is CTD table of contents, CTD introduction, then the quality overall summary, non-clinical overview, clinical overview, then non-clinical written and tabulated summaries and the clinical summaries. So this is an hierarchy which we have to follow when we compile the dossier into module 2. Let us talk about module 3, which is also an important module, and the data is coming from different department in the form of CMC. C stands for chemistry, M for manufacturing, C for control. Again, this module 3 is divided into two parts, that is drug substance and drug product. So we have to gather the information about the drug substance and the drug product, together with it is called the CMC. So drug substance broadly covers the drug substance name, manufacturer's details, characterization, control of drug substance, reference standards used during manufacturing of that drug substance, then the container closure, which type of container closures must have used during the manufacture and the packaging of that drug substance, then the stability data collected to prove that this drug substance is stable at a particular time, and you have to give the shelf life as well. Then the drug product, it is again divided into several sections. Generally, we have to gather the information about the drug product, name, manufacturer details. Then we have to write the pharmaceutical development summary report, which helps reviewer to understand how the product must have developed during the developmental stages. Then we have to show how that product was controlled by putting the data about the stress stability data, then the actual stability data, the force degradation data, and everything we have to compile together and put into this format. Then we have to say about how the excipients are added, how the excipient compatibility studies were conducted, and how it was compiled. Then the reference standard, maybe you must be using the reference standard and the working standard, and you have to collect the data about both the standards and put it together along with the chromatogram and certificate of analysis. And then container closure, the product which is developed, we have to pack into the different container closure system, whether it is HDPE jars, PVC, alufoil, or whatever container will be your final container which has to be commercialized. You have to study on those specific container and attach the data about the container closure system. If at all you are using any desiccant, then you have to attach the specification of those desiccants as well. Then stability remains. We have to conduct the stability as per ICHQ1 at the different temperature and the humidity condition, and you have to gather the 6-month accelerated data along with the real time stability data and attach to this section. So this is an hierarchy of the module 3 drug substance. It is mainly divided into 3-2 body data, and under which 3-2S talks about the drug substance and 3-2P talks about the drug product, which we have already discussed. Then let us talk about the module 4. Module 4 is a non-clinical study reports. It contains mainly pharmacology, pharmacokinetics and pharmacokinetic drug interaction, other pharmacokinetic studies, toxicological data, into which genotoxicity, carcinogenicity is very important, and if at all other studies if you have performed on the animal. This module 4 is not required for the generic product like ANDA or any generic applications. Module 4 is required mainly into new drug application, that is NDA and NCAs. So module 4 hierarchy is as shown below. It is divided from 4.1 to 4.2.3, then till 4.2.3.5. You can go through the hierarchy. Then the 5th module, that is clinical study reports, which is the biggest module in CTD. Here also we have to say that this module is also required mainly for the new drug application, but when you are compiling the data for ANDA or the generic application, only module 5.3.7, in which we have to attach the bioequivalence study reports. So mainly these study reports under module 5 talks about reports of studies pertinent to pharmacokinetics using human biomaterials, then report of human pharmacokinetic, that is PK data, then PD data, pharmacodynamic, then report of efficacy and safety studies, report of post-marketing experience, then there are case report forms and individual patient listing. So this is an hierarchy which we have to maintain as per IC specifications. It is divided from 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, then 5.4 is the literature reference. So with this we have discussed about module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4 and module 5. I will summarize. Module 1 is talking about the administrative data and the prescribing information, and which is not part of CTD triangle. Module 2 talks about the quality overall summary of module 3, module 4 and module 5. Module 4 talks about the non-clinical study reports and module 5 talks about the clinical reports. Whereas in generic or A&A application, module 4 and module 5 is replaced with the bioequivalence study reports. So that's all about the CTD organization. So let us be organized. So unorganized files will make this situation. So always impress your reviewer. Once you collect the data, put it in the CTD format, your reviewer will be impressed and you will get the faster approval. So these are the references wherein I have gathered the information and we have discussed about this ICH, CTD and eCTD.